If you're tired of hearing me talk about this same lens for several weeks in a row now, this is it. So no more worries. This is the last photo you'll see that I've taken with that Sigma lens. And I think this is one of my favorites that I took with that lens. There's something about the way all the elements come together with this picture that I really like. First of all, I like how the subject, this horse, is super tack sharp. And you can thank the optical properties of that lens for that result. Even at 1.4, that horse is so sharp, and the eyelid is just like perfectly sharp. Everything just works out really nicely in terms of drawing your attention to that horse, which is right in the center of the frame. I like how you can see my oldest son there. And by the way, these are my two kids. That's actually my wife on the left-hand side, who rarely appears in any of my Weekly 50 photos. And the dude on the right, I don't know who he is, just someone attending this horse show. So I like that the horse is in the center and it kind of draws your eye to his eye, her eye, I'm not sure, it's a horse. I like that my eldest son is reaching out to pet the horse, and behind him, you can see my youngest son kind of looking on. He was a little intimidated at this whole scene. My kids we don't have a lot of exposure to animals, like certainly not big horses and stuff. So it was fun to get them up close and personal with this horse. And there's my wife kind of shepherding the kids along. And it really was how it was. I mean, this scene here is an accurate representation of what happened. This is not a staged photo, and what you're probably picturing in your mind is pretty similar to what actually happened in terms of like maybe a bit of hesitation on the part of my youngest son and my oldest being a little more adventurous. So I like the scene that this captures. I like that it feels complete. The guy on the right, he kind of takes up what would otherwise be empty space. And I like that he's there to kind of provide that filling in of the right-hand side of the frame. I really like, and this is unintentional, but I really like how the horse does not quite intersect with that shirt, the shirt sleeve. So you have this plaid shirt sleeve that's all nice and blurry, and yet the horse does not quite get obscured by that shirt sleeve. And I didn't really plan that. That's just how this photo happened to come out. But I also like the foreground and background separation, or the blur. So when I shot this at 1.4, I knew that the background would be nice and blurry, but I didn't really know how that would impact the foreground. And as you can see, it worked out really well. The guy with the plaid shirt, he's closest to me and farthest from the horse, but he's only a couple feet away from the horse, and yet he's still really blurry, or his shirt is. My kids are even slightly out of focus. The only thing that's really nice and sharp is the horse and the horse's eye. And having that sense of foreground and background gives a nice sense of depth to the photo that I think it would be difficult to capture with a phone. If you shot this with a phone or with a smaller aperture on a different camera lens, it would just be like a flat photo and everything would be nice and in focus. But here, shooting at 1.4 with that 40mm lens let me capture a wide enough scene to get a lot of stuff in there, but also it feels kind of intimate with the way the foreground is blurred out. So I thought this is probably my favorite photo that I took with that 40mm lens. And that's it. You won't hear me talk about it again, at least not for a while, unless Sigma decides to ship me one, which they're always welcome to do. So note to Sigma, if you're listening to this, hey, I'll gladly take another one of your lenses if you want me to check it out. For all of you listening, thank you for checking out the series of images, and I guess we now return you to your regularly scheduled, just normal photos that I'm taking with my camera gear that I already own.